What's up, everybody? How's it going? Just so you know, that intro's bush league compared to what you're going to see on this channel coming up, as I've been stating recently. So yeah, but welcome back to Yakin About Nothing. It is Dan's birthday. What's up, Dan? Happy
No,
birthday.
not much. Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about for your birthday?
I don't know, maybe like knitting or pottery or something.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I don't know. I mean, something happened yesterday we could talk about. That'll go over well. So let's do that.
I am down.
But happy birthday to Dan. Dan, that was the whole thumbnail. So, Dan is 41 today.
Thank you. Yes.
So
Even
look a day over 40.
yeah, no, I agree. It's even worse when you hear it said out loud. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I'll be 45 in July, so you ain't there yet. You're just in the early 40s. I'm almost to the mid, so
Oh gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Man,
don't even know what happened to the 30s. It's like they just didn't happen.
it's
Yeah.
like a blur, man. So
Yeah.
all right, so let's say hi to some people. I want to get down to some business first, so we'll start kind of going into our talk for today. Brett, what's up, man? Good to see you. And there's Kenny. What's up, Kenny? Good to
Oh,
see you,
well, thank
man.
you, everybody. I appreciate that.
You have a wonderful birthday. Enjoy the day. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, he had to work, so how happy could it be when he had to work all day?
I mean, I worked from home and it was really slow today, so
Yeah.
wasn't
There you go.
horrible.
There you go. All right. So we're gonna do a little bit of a public service announcement before we get into it. So this will be the last time this show is on this channel. I am rebooting this channel completely. And I'm going to tell you guys a lot of the reason I'm doing this is because of you. A lot of the reason we're still on YouTube is because of you. And that includes Dan. I know my parents are watching. I'm sure my wife's probably watching. Um, Everybody told me not to give it up, and for once in my life, I'm going to listen to everybody. So,
Wow.
but I want this. I know, but I want this show to be its own entity. So I've created another channel. It's gonna be called the Yakin About Nothing podcast, and I'll see if I can get the. I probably won't be able to do it, but check out the Yakin About Nothing podcast. We're gonna make that channel strictly about this show. So maybe we can try to do some other stuff with it. But as far as Yukon Phil goes, Yukon Phil is dead. Euconomus Prime is now the name of the channel, as you've seen through the subliminal messaging from the past week. So I wanted it to be its own entity. I want each thing to be its own thing, if that makes sense. So if you come back next week, Kenny, Brett, anybody else watching, Euconomus Prime will not have this show on it anymore. It will be the Yakin About Nothing podcast. So make sure when you're looking for this show, you go to the correct channel. So, but I'll be sure to post links for that and everything else as we get closer to that next week. So there you go. There might be some more subliminal messaging through this podcast too. So you never know. So it could happen. It could totally happen. So, all right. So let's talk about your birthday first of all. You were born January 21st, 1984. What birthday stands out to you that you remember the most? Is there one?
It's hard when you're. I mean, none are bad, but it. I mean, Mom can attest to this because her birthday was yesterday. When we have
That's probably one thing we should say is so the funny thing is my mom's birthday was yesterday, January 20th, and Dan's birthday is January 21st. Funny thing about that is my wife's birthday is August 31st. My son's birthday is September 2nd. So, I mean, they're like almost exactly the same. It's really weird how that worked out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But but having your birthday in January is limited because especially in Colorado or anywhere that snows, so it's limited on what you can do. It doesn't mean it's bad, but I don't remember like a specific year. I just remember like obviously when Mom would always take the time to make us like a custom made cake. Like, oh, what do you want on your cake this year? Like there's Ninja Turtles, there was Batman, You remember all that stuff. And then most years the whole family would show up, but some years there were other things that may have taken precedence. But
Stock show one.
I think that was only 1 year. But no, I don't remember like um, a lot of specifics, but I do remember like mom and dad doing their absolute best to make it special for you and I.
Yeah, definitely.
No matter what. And so um, so that's nice, man. Yeah, I guess for me, like every year is a little tougher as you get older. It's just, because you're getting older.
Yeah, you're getting older. You're getting closer to, well, like I don't know if you do this, but I kind of put myself like in dad's shoes and what he was doing like at that age, you know. I mean, when dad was
Yeah.
44, I was, geez, how the hell old was I? Like 17, 16, something like that. So it's like, it's weird when you put yourself in a weird age or an age that you thought was like unattainable back when you were a kid, and all of a sudden, like you're that age. And it's really just a weird thing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily care for it, but that's just how it goes. Everyone gets
Uh,
older, but thank
It's
God
better
we're here
than
to
the
get older.
alternative. Right. It's better than
Well,
the
yeah,
alternative.
you're 6 feet under, so it's hard to
You're
really complain, I guess.
right. It's, well, I mean, if you're a believer, then it's actually not better, but
Well, right, yeah,
oh,
yeah, fair
there's
enough.
that. There's that.
Yeah, it's worse.
Um, right, exactly. Was there a gift or anything that stood out to you that, I mean, it doesn't have to be from even the family or anybody like that, but was there anything that stood out to you on a birthday that you remember that, really stuck with you? Because there's one that you got that always stuck with me.
You can fill me in. I don't
We talked about
remember.
this in the Christmas one. You got that ghost popper. I was so freaking jealous when you got that ghost popper. The little Ghostbuster thing that you do this and it had uh the little foam things. It was like a Nerf gun kind of.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a Ghostbusters. I remember being so jealous that you got one of those. I think I was crying or something. Like I think it was like 7 or 8. I was so upset that you got one of those, and I did. I think mom and dad had to go and get me one or something because I was being a big baby about it. Well, and I think you remember we were talking about it on the Christmas show. We'd cut up the ecto streams to make more ammo for it.
All right, yeah. That was a brilliant move. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, destroyed that thing. But that's when I remember that you got where I was like, oh, screw him. That's not fair.
Well, it's probably hard for me to remember because it's barely, it's not even 4 weeks after Christmas. So for me, it kind of blurs together. I can't, like, especially from childhood, I can't remember anything real distinct. I just, I'm sure if
Yeah.
you or me or mom or dad sat down and talked, like, okay, but yeah, I just can't remember. We've obviously never had bad birthdays like that.
Right. Well, yeah.
Other than just like, as I said, like, I guess the one that stands out the most would be when last year, when mom and dad organized a surprise party for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on, and I showed up like 20 or 30 minutes early. Thankfully, pretty much everyone was here, but that was kind of funny. So, but it
Yeah.
was nice because so many people came, and it was funny because mom had it on her birthday, but in true mom fashion, it was nothing about her, and she made it all about my party. So,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
it was yeah, it's weird because when you have a surprise party, obviously I've never had that before, but it was
Right.
nice, and you see all sorts of people um, show up. They're there for your butt. I mean,
Yep.
that's a nice thing, and it's hard. You don't really you get yeah. I mean, I wasn't really expecting that. So.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've had a couple too, and it's like awkward. It's awkward when everybody's there for you. You're
Well,
used
that's
to it
just it.
like,
If there's
yeah,
40
it's just
people in the room, there's 80 eyes on you, and it's like,
right. Yeah,
and
it's like
it's not a bad thing. It's just that, some people are
yeah, it's
all
weird.
about having all the eyes on them. I'm not one of
Yeah,
them, and I know you're not either.
yeah,
Um, and they're there to like for you. It's like, oh, it's something that's all about you. It's like, that I'm still not the greatest at, like, I can take a compliment and I know how to say thank you, but it's hard for me to like get like really like, oh yeah, thank you. So like, because it's like I don't really want that attention, but I'll take it,
Right.
I guess. You're not gonna refute
You're
a
not out there
compliment. It's
looking for it. Yeah.
right. And the other thing you have to understand is when people are giving you a compliment, it's because they are making the choice to and they want to. So you have to be
Right.
respectful of that and accept it and be grateful for it. So
Yep. Yep.
uh,
So Kenny says, I'm curious what the content's going to be with that you're going with. They're able to talk about it. Okay, so you're going to have to be more specific. Are you talking about for the Yakin About Nothing podcast channel, or are you talking about the Economist Prime channel?
I would assume it's
Because
the latter. That
the Economist Prime. Okay, so
yeah.
the Economist Prime thing is still about toys. It's a toy channel still. But I'm going to be blatantly honest with you guys because I feel that's important. I'm sick of seeing the same damn thing. I'm sick of seeing the same jackass hold up his toy, talk about it, and it's just it's so repetitive to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's how I really feel. So I'm doing something totally out of the box here. I'm doing something
Well,
totally new. And I'm just
you
sick
have
of
to.
seeing the same damn thing over and over between every single person. And I realize I'm doing it now, but every person gets on YouTube, they sit in front of their toy collection, and they talk about the same damn shit that the last guy did and the last guy did.
Well, but that's the weird thing though is like it's obviously within the toy stuff, but you look at anything as far as YouTube goes, movie reviews, food reviews, whatever it may be, from A to Z, it's that same thing. It's
Right.
any guy with a microphone and a cord and a phone or laptop can make a video, but it is ironic because all these people making these videos, they're trying to make it, and I'm not saying most of them or even any of them, but it comes off as like, is it about their subject matter or is it about them?
Is it about
Because
them?
the focal point, like with what we're doing, it's two guys talking. It's easier for us to say, oh, it's not about us, it's about we're talking about. Sure, yeah, but what's the focal point with the channel of your channel? Is like, is it you or is it the toys? Or if I did one, is it me or what I'm supposedly talking about? Right. So to remove yourself
Right. Right.
mostly, I
Right.
think that's a big deal,
Which,
honestly.
since you said that, subliminal message. Now, how many toy hunters are willing to do that? Not many. The reason that I want to do that, what does that mean? That means Cowboy Yukon Phil dead.
Oh,
He,
that's too bad. I think the Cowboy should have came back.
well, I thought about it. I had a couple of test clips and I couldn't do it. Me, as in Yukon Phil, dead. Economist Prime, totally different. You'll have to tune in to see what it looks like, but it is something that is completely, you can tell by the music, you can tell by the way the video is put together. It's completely different. I will play one of my intros for you guys here in a little bit later and give you an idea of what it's going to look like. But if you're not into super duper heavy hardcore metal, if you're not into big time electronics, it ain't for you. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. So and I mean no disrespect to any YouTubers that may be watching, but I am just tired of seeing the same old thing. So that is one reason why we are doing it different. Why I'm doing it different. So hope that answered your question, Kenny.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to go outside the box. I mean, it's
Uh, yeah, but besides, it's really fun to put together. I've been messing with my editor for the last week
oh,
and a
well,
half, like I was telling Danny.
that's one of the most important things is if you're enjoying
Yeah, like I didn't
doing it.
edit my videos. If you go back and look at my videos, I didn't edit my videos for nothing. Like I would put in a couple transitions, and I'd be like, "Screw it, it's good." No, this is way
Well, I
more
mean,
fun to
because
add in all these effects and stuff.
well, and that works on certain things. I mean, but there's guys like that I follow that like talk about like the auto industry, right? Like they barely edit theirs, and it's just them talking. But that makes sense for that because they're essentially reporting news, or maybe they have an inside guy they're getting information from about a car or whatever. Like that makes sense.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
with what you're doing, you can really open up those floodgates and um, because you're not reporting news per se. You're having you've got a little more meat on the bone there. You can expand your horizons.
Right.
So
Right.
it,
Well,
it just depends what you're doing.
that's what it boils down to. I mean, I think by again, if you're offended, it's your fault with what I'm going to say, because it is. If you want to handcuff yourself and do what everybody else is doing, fine, handcuff yourself. Because to me, in my opinion, that's what you're doing. But if you're willing to take a chance and go outside the box and be completely different than what anybody else is doing, I mean, I feel, and Dan, you can attest to this because you're like me on this. This is a reason we always got together with haunted houses and with other stuff. I can't be satisfied being like everybody else. I just can't. I have to be, and I've been like everybody else for the last 3 years, and I just had enough of it. So now it's like, okay, I'm going to do things my way this time, and not worry about the mainstream, not worry about what's popular, not worry about fitting in. I'll be a damn enigma if that's what it takes for me to have that creative freedom. And Dan's always been the same way too. Dan, you guys have seen Dan's stuff and how Dan does stuff. I mean, it's completely outside the box.
You want to? All right. Well, if there's a guy you're looking for that understands exactly what you're talking about, it's me.
Exactly. Exactly right.
I detest the idea of any, and I'm not saying it's conformity of people's videos are similar, but anything that remotely resembles conformity,
Yes.
one iota.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. Like at the haunted house I work at the farm, the whole cast collectively, everyone that works there, it's the name for it is Fright Squad, and they made all these big patches that say Fright Squad. It's got like a zombie and like a scarecrow on it. It's really cool. But what they said is like, okay, everyone that's Fright Squad, so everyone gets these patches, and then go and get yourself a black denim jacket. It's got to be black. That's the one stipulation. And you sew the patches on, and whatever other patches you want. I am so against any kind of conformity that I can't get myself to do that because I don't want to be wearing the same jacket. I know. I'm serious. I don't want to be wearing the same jacket as everyone else. And I'm not saying those jackets are bad. I'm saying I just can't get myself
I totally
to do what 100 other people are doing. I can't get myself to do what 10 other people are doing. I have to march to the beat of my own drum. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to wear my Christian apparel or whatever I want to wear. And it's like, I can't even pull that trigger. I have been going back and forth in my mind for 4 years, debating on even buying the jacket. I still haven't done it. And it's like, I just can't get myself to do it. It's that bad.
Yeah, I know.
So I
mean, I've had the same haircut for 20 years. I don't give a crap.
Well, you can't. You can't. But I mean, anything creative that I think that you or I have done, it's been that mentality. It's just,
it's totally been that.
What is everyone else doing? Okay,
let's do the opposite.
Yeah, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
right.
I feel like if God gives us the gift of creativity, it's like we get to use it with our creative idea, and it's not just a rehash of someone else's idea over and over. Or I'm not one to just try to fit in either. Like
exactly.
I can't stand there with a group of 20 people all in the same jacket. I just can't do it.
I don't blame you.
That's so dumb maybe, but.
Well, I think that's the creative personality, and again, I don't mean this as any disrespect to anybody watching if you have a YouTube channel, but because I'm not saying none of you guys are creative. A lot of you guys do a lot of cool stuff like Brett. Let's take Brett, Collecting a Cool, for instance. He does lives where he shows himself doing 3D printing and stuff. Like, that's super cool.
Yeah, that's way different.
He does work in progresses of other people's work. Like, Rex Henry, Millennium Workshop. Rex is like, I mean, he's creative stuff all the time. He 3D prints everything. Yeah. And it's like, there's a lot of people that do that, but.
Well, you're more or less making like this general statement of like channels that are just basic, that it's like the same kind of template.
The same template. Exactly.
And it's not that those are bad either. It's just that you don't want to do the same.
I don't want to do that. Else. I think there's enough of that. I think the YouTube is too overly saturated with that type of content.
Well,
I think that no one's really willing to take a major risk because of
Yeah.
views or likes or all that crap. And
Well,
it's
for
like,
some people
well,
though, it works. Like some people have enough charisma where it's like that's all they need is the microphone and film themselves and a little set piece
and
behind
that's
them,
fine. Yeah.
and God bless them. That's great.
Yeah. And that's fine.
But
But
that, but ultimately, like if with your channel, like with where your mentality is, like you're striving to, because you've done that too.
yeah, I
You're
mean,
striving to expand. So I
it's a
understand.
growing process too. It's like when you first start out, you're like, well, okay, I'm just going to try to do what everybody else does because that's all I've seen, that's all I've known. But then
Well,
you're like,
but
okay,
it also is a cheaper method. I mean,
yeah,
if all you
yeah,
can afford is the mic and you have your phone, it's like, well, then that's
yeah,
what you go with. But I
yeah.
mean, or maybe you don't have, maybe people don't want to edit, maybe they don't have time, or maybe they don't know how,
Well,
or maybe
and
they do have just limited
mhm,
time in general, or I mean, there's a
mhm.
million reasons. I mean,
See, I was too lazy to learn. I was too lazy to teach myself. Instead of sitting here, because I've been doing it so much now, instead of sitting here playing with it, I'm just like, it's good enough. I was worried about who's going to watch, not the quality that they're going to watch or the different type of content that they're going to watch. And now it's like, I've tried to switch gears with a different mentality where it's like, okay, well, now they're going to watch because it is different. They are going to watch because of this or because they
yeah,
think it's cool, because they want to see something new. Or
yeah.
they're not going to watch because they don't want to see something new, whatever it might be.
Well, if
It,
that's out of your control, you make
it's,
something
yeah.
that you like,
But the
and
biggest thing is that this is more fun. It's more
yeah,
fun and it gets my creative, juices flowing to where it's like, okay, I'm having a lot more fun with it now. It's fun to
well,
make
that's
stuff.
good because if
I
you're not
made I
having,
made a thing for Dan for the first time in our lives, and I told my parents about this. I told my wife because I was shocked. My brother, Mr. Creative, came to me for something creative, and I was floored the other day. He needed. I could show you guys. I think I got it right here.
yeah,
It's got
show
the
it.
same. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Which I already
Uh,
posted it once. It's well over 100 views. I'm gonna
yeah,
post more and more, but yeah, it got well over 100 views already. So
cool, man. Where the hell is it?
I knew that you were excited because of how quick you got it done.
I mean, really quick.
That
Like
turnover time was insane.
I just started playing. No, that ain't it. I just started playing with stuff, and I was like, you know what? I think I got it. Um, Hold on. I can't find it. It's not like.
Well, and what you're talking about is kind of the mentality I had when I made my new prop shop, because when I had my logo made, and
Yeah.
I go through this guy. He's very well known. His name's Chad Savage, really good artist. I've met him numerous times in person. He's a nice enough guy. But he can make anything, and he draws it all freehand, and he on the computer, and then he scans it up. He does all his cool work. But I told him, I was like, man, I don't want to do black and red or black and orange or black and green. That's the standard like horror or Halloween or monster movie colors. That maybe like my logo is like black and like gold. There's like a light blue. There's purples. There's all these out of the box colors that personally I don't even like some of those colors, but the way he did it, it looks so good together, and it's very different.
Yeah.
you know so it's like that's, and then my website, I matched those colors. I made my website, but it's mostly purple and blue and yellow, and again, I don't necessarily like those colors, but it looks good and it's
Right.
different.
Right.
So
I don't think I can get to it, man. I'm trying to find it here, but I can get to my Dropbox, but I can't get to.
can you get to Facebook? Because if you go to my business page on Facebook, it's on there. Just it's on the just my timeline.
Let me see.
But yeah, like trying to do something that's different, because
Yeah.
when I had my old shop, me and Ray, like our mask shop, like we had a cool logo also made by Chad, but it was like, oh, it had a skull and it was like dripping blood and there was fire. It's red, it's black. It's like, it was cool, but it's kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Right.
So it's like this one, I was like, oh, I'm going to do something way out of the box. Yeah, the logo's a mummy, but he's a mummy that's like standard, like bandage colors, but he has like yellow eyes and he has blue on him. Like, it's not something you would necessarily, think of.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. No, I can't. I can't get into Facebook anyway either. So, you know what? 1 second. Keep talking. Keep talking.
but yeah, and that's kind of the thing I did with my sculpting is like, and I've always done that with my sculpting is I try to do,
Yeah.
and you try to not. I will. I never want to copy another artist's work, but I will look when I'll use references of other artists that I know of their work when I'm sculpting, and to not sculpt what they did.
Yep. Yep.
Because it's not that what they did is bad. What they did is really good. It's that I don't want to replicate that at all because I don't want to. A, I don't want to look like I'm copying, but B, I don't want to do what's already been done.
Exactly.
And so,
Well, you want, yeah, you want the uniqueness to it. You don't want to.
yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be a certain. Damn it. Always going to be a certain amount of copying extent. No one's got something that's completely
Well, no,
original, right?
like
But
it's hard to make a fully original like mummy sculpture or
absolutely.
like a zombie. But the one distinct thing that most artists end up finding that they have, especially in sculpting or painting, drawing, is after you do 7, 8, 9, 10 sculpts, however many, you start to notice similarities in every one of them, and you see what your style is because you can learn new methods and tactics and tricks, but you're always going to instinctively you're always going to use the same 3 or 4 within that.
Yep.
And so what
Yep.
that equates to is I can line up all my sculptures, and if I show them to nice enough people, they're going to know that I did all of them because they have the same distinct look within them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't
Exactly.
matter what I sculpted. It's just
Well,
that you
and
can
then
tell
people
because
starting to recognize your work just based off that. You
Yeah.
have a look to your work,
exactly.
and that's exactly what you want. You have a look to it. I think when you're like me, for instance, man, you couldn't pick me out of a crowd. The only reason you would know me is because I wear the hat and the sunglasses all the damn time. But other than that, you couldn't pick me out of a crowd between every other toy
Well,
YouTuber out there. I don't think the content's the damn same. It's like it's all exactly just kind of getting lost in the mix. You know what I mean? At least I think.
you froze for a minute.
Or did I freeze? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear what I said?
No.
Oh. Well, I'm trying to download something. That's probably why.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was just saying that, like with YouTube, I mean, the only thing that makes me not get, I mean, I get lost in the mix, I feel like. The only reason you could recognize me is because I hat and the sunglasses. Yeah.
Well, and I think that you should be known for your work and what you make as opposed to just, oh, I recognize his hat, sunglasses, and his face.
Right. Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
I know it's a little easier with the medium I work in, but if I line up my sculptures and the props I make, I hope that someone can say, oh, that's Dan, and they don't need
Right.
me standing behind them
To know it's Dan.
to know it's Dan.
That's right.
You know?
All right, I got it. I got it loaded up. So here we go. This is what I made Dan.
Time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
it's
I had to steal the music. When I found that music, I was like, I'm doing that for Dan, and I'm using it for my own because it's
Hey
so
man,
cool.
if you like it, you like it. Yeah, no,
Good.
that's an awesome ad.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it's like I took a lot of things, some of the stuff, like I mean, you guys probably recognize it from, our promo. I've got that, but I've learned even more since doing that on Friday for Dan. But I was really honored to be able to do something for you, so I appreciate you giving me the chance. That'll
Oh
be
yeah.
four
Well, thanks for doing it.
$99.95 when you get a chance, because that's my
No.
rate. So
No. Yeah, your check's in the mail. I hope it didn't get lost.
it's gonna bounce like a rubber ball, isn't it?
Oh yeah. You know it.
So yeah, but I mean, it was really cool and really nice of Dan to ask me. So, Brett, thanks for the super sticker, man. Appreciate that, buddy. Very nice of you to do that. Appreciate that. So, we talked about that a little bit. Let's get on to the topic at hand here that we talked about earlier. So, yesterday was a good day, wasn't it?
No, it was a great day.
So Trump's in, and he did more in 45 minutes than Biden did in 4 years. I mean, I thought signed like 200
I
executive orders. I mean, it was a damnedest thing.
yeah, I mean, he signed a lot of them while having a press conference, like multitasking.
Right. I
It's like,
noticed
wow.
that. It was weird to see a president talking to the press.
It's almost like he has nothing to hide.
Right.
And he's
Right.
not a puppet of someone.
Well, you know.
Good
Well,
old ice cream Joe, yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
old ice cream Joe. But what did
yeah.
you think of so there's a lot of people in an uproar about his speech. Like he
Well,
was
of course
basically
there is.
calling out everybody because he named names.
Okay,
What
well,
did you think of his speech?
I loved it because it was the truth, and where did he lie? It's I always go back because it's funny when you witness things in life. If you go back to scripture within the Bible, God talked about it. Doesn't really
Mhm.
matter what it is. Christ talked about how he came to divide, meaning he's not out here, oh, I want to divide people. What he meant was when he's going to tell the truth. And when you do that, that's when division's created
Right.
because
Right. It's automatic.
some know the truth, some don't. Some accept the truth, some don't. Some are unsure. We've all been unsure at times. But Trump, he told nothing but the truth, with
Yep.
especially the beginning of his speech about what Biden had done and didn't do, and it's just the truth. I mean, when you have well over 10 million illegal immigrants come in, and he mentions that, it's like, well, where's the lie? Everyone knows that happened. That's a
Right.
fact.
Right.
Or he says that inflation was record high. Well, it was.
Right.
Go to the grocery store, go to anywhere. Like, how do you deny that? I mean, it's just amazing how, like, not only have people heard what's going on, but they see it with their own eyes, but they still don't. But they're still like they're still blinded in some capacity where it's like, well, it's Trump saying it, so and that somehow overrides the actual truth. It's like,
Right.
well,
Right.
but if Obama got up there and said the exact same thing, people would have been like,
It's true.
great job. It's like, it's just because it's him saying it. But he didn't. Everything he said about the I keep I almost said Obama administration, but I guess it kind of was his third term. The Biden administration did everything that he said that they did. They did. So
Right.
that's where I struggle so bad. It's like, and I think a lot of the issue is not all, but with some people that on the left that vote for the left, it's a matter of pride. If they admit that Trump's right, then they think that means that they're admitting wrong in how they voted, and that is where they have to stop and say, oh, well, we can't do that because then I don't want anyone thinking that I was wrong. But in actuality, it's like, it's okay if you're wrong.
Oh yeah.
I've done a
Yeah.
million bajillion wrong things in my life. It's fine to say if you were wrong. It's
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
but it's like Biden
Well,
did not do anything good. He didn't. I mean,
no.
the national debt's at over whatever 34 trillion. Not that he's responsible for all that. Trump added his fair share in his first term. The illegal immigration was insane. The inflation's insane. Um, I think two or three new wars started under his watch.
Mhm.
The withdrawal in Afghanistan was an absolute catastrophe. Israel getting attacked is an absolute catastrophe. Um, the crime in our country went up. There are
Yep.
statistics proving this. Just in Denver, an hour away from me, and a lot of that is not Biden's fault, but our goofy ass governor. Sorry, that guy is he's so weird. He's like always like filming himself dancing. This is really weird. Anyway, nothing against Polis personally. I don't think he's a mean person. He's just has terrible policy. But it's a sanctuary city policy, working with the goofy city of Denver mayor, and he's housing illegals and he's helping illegals, and they're taking over apartment complexes in Aurora. It's like
Venezuelan gang. They took
Venezuelan
over a
gang.
couple of
Yeah,
them. It wasn't
I
just
mean,
one. It was a couple.
Denver, city of Denver went up to like number one in the nation in like carjackings. you know, and stuff. And once you get outside the metro area, it's not nearly as bad. Praise God. It's like a whole other world where I am. But it's like all this stuff happened on his watch, on Biden's watch. So it's like, how, I don't know how people can just sit here. And not to mention the drug epidemic, especially with things like fentanyl coming across the border. A lot of it's from China.
And
And
the
then,
cartels too.
what?
The cartels too.
Yeah, drug cartels, and then human trafficking, the sex trafficking.
Oh yeah, it's through the roof.
It all went up, and it's like this is proven stuff, but people are so prideful because of how they voted, they just can't admit it. I voted for George W. Bush twice. That dude is a goof. He still is a goof. He did nothing. He sucked. I regret having to vote for him because
loser.
I don't think someone like Al Gore was any better.
No.
But look, I admit that sucked having to vote for him, and I did.
Well, see, that's what you just said. You can admit fault to that. You can say you were wrong.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that was the lesser of two evils at the time.
By a minuscule amount, but yes.
You know, you got him or Lurch.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Romney.
You know, I
mean, I had to vote. I voted for frickin' McCain. I almost didn't vote.
Well, right, exactly. Like these guys were no good, and it's like, but the other guy that was running against him, I didn't think was any better. They were just at least a smidge worse. So it's like, I hated that I had to vote for all of those guys, and I admit they did nothing right, and they didn't. You know, and obviously McCain and Romney weren't elected, but what did McCain really ever do within the Senate? Maybe he did some good. I don't know. Mitt Romney, that dude did nothing.
He literally did nothing.
Like
all he did was just talk. And
yeah.
Have any
he was
context
Mr.
to
Morality.
It.
Like
yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. You know, but it's just like we all can be wrong or make mistakes or do something we didn't want to do or should have done. And it's like people just, I think a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people just can't get by that. And so it's like they're just going to ride that horse until as far as they can. And it's like,
so there's two things with that.
I don't get this. Like, why? How are you going to vouch for someone like Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom? Like, how do they get every excuse in the world, but Trump hiccups or he sneezes or does one thing and it's like, oh, Nazi. Like, I just don't understand how that works. But that's me.
There's two things. So the first thing, the first thing is pride. Even if you voted for the wrong person, you don't want to admit that you voted for the wrong person.
Right.
Or that you supported the wrong person. You don't want to vote. And instead of getting rid of the pride and say, yeah, it's easier to attack and fool yourself into thinking, oh no, I'm good because I can't do any wrong. So I'm going to go against Trump because and this kind of goes back into what we were just talking about with the creativeness in a way too. People are freaking sheep. And they will fall into something if there is a chance that your popularity or your views or this might take a hit, Taylor Swift, then you're going to sit there and you're going to take your morality and say, my pride, my fame, my money, my clicks, my views, my subs, blah, 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 is more important than the moral compass I should have.
Right.
Because your pride is in the way of that.
Yeah, because what a lot of people do is, everything they do is about them. So if they say, oh, they're pro-LGBTQ, or they say they go out, say they buy an EV because say they believe in climate change and they think that EV is better for the climate. They're not doing that because they love LGBT people usually. They're not doing that because they really think that they're saving the planet with their EV.
They're falling into that
because they're trying to project to the world, I'm a good person.
Right.
I'm not saying everyone that owns an EV or loves LGBTQ people are doing that. So we're clear. I'm not saying that. But there are certain people that do it for their own vanity. They're doing it to project a self-righteous type of thing.
Right.
To show everyone, look, it's because it's all about them. It's not about LGBT people or the environment or owning a Tesla or whatever. It's not about that. Mm-hmm. It's about them and projecting to the world in their own mind that they're a good person or they're part of the solution or they want to save the planet. And it's trying to make themselves look good. That's what it's about.
Right.
And when you are of that mindset, you're never going to be satisfied in that because you're trying to convince everyone. Well,
Exactly. You can't even convince yourself. You can't convince everyone if you can't
well,
convince
that's just it.
yourself.
That's just it. That's like when Aunt Valerie is trying to constantly persuade Dad into a leftist ideology. She does that with everybody because
I
it's
mean,
never
yeah,
enough. She
yeah.
can convince two
Right.
people, 1,000 people, a million people.
It'll never be
Never
enough.
going to be enough because she cannot be fulfilled in getting everyone to think like she does. It's never going to be enough.
Right.
And and that could be for the same for you and I if we're trying to
Well, it could be.
project something.
No,
You know,
and that's a good point because that's what's fair. Let's set the record straight here. I told my wife this before the show. I do not agree with everything Trump does. I
and
don't agree with him throwing $500 billion at AI. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with other things that he's looking at and doing. There's certain stuff with pharmaceuticals that I don't agree with. There's certain stuff here, certain stuff there that I do not agree with. There are people on the right side too that are just as guilty as on
oh,
the left for
they're
falling
worse
in.
even.
Yeah, they can be, yes, because then they also fall into that, that pride thing
The
where
same mentality.
now I'm so far to the right I can't look at all. I can't even listen to anybody who has any difference of opinion whatsoever. Right.
Well, when you have people like Liz Cheney or Bill Kristol
Yeah.
or a lot of these people, or Mitt Romney again, they will be anti-Trump till death because again they're trying to project that I don't have to go with a party. I'm moral. I always take the high road no matter what Donald Trump says or does. They're going to be against him because they have to project that they're moral, that they're good people again, that they're not
Well,
just going
yeah.
to listen to
And
this guy.
apparently hating somebody means you're a good person.
Apparently. And yeah, so you're right. So like people on the
So,
right, they're actually worse than if people do it on the left because most people on the left, not all, but a lot of people don't adhere or claim to be Christians or Jewish people. And a lot of these people on the right do. And like you just said, they literally have a hatred for, say, someone like Donald Trump, but in the same breath, they're claiming they're a Christian. And there's a difference between making a mistake and then it's a lifestyle or an ideology. They're doing the same thing for years on end at every chance they get in the context of hate Trump, bash Trump, go against Trump no matter what.
right.
And it's like, well, that's not a mistake. That's a
No,
choice that you're
no,
making
that's a
to
choice.
live
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that you're right. So the right is actually worse
I would
in
agree.
that context when they're doing that, if they're
I would agree.
doing that.
Yeah.
Because there's things that they think makes them look like a good person or oh, Mitt Romney's Mr. Righteous because he didn't do this with Trump or whatever. It's like, no,
And this is
you're just doing it to be spiteful
yeah,
and
exactly.
get even. It's like,
This is the
that's not
problem.
good.
Another lie that the left does like to do to people that are Trump supporters like us, they want to perceive that we think he can do no wrong, that he's perfect,
Well,
that
that
he's
he's
Jesus
God.
Christ himself.
Yeah,
No,
but he's
he's
not.
not perfect. I just said I don't agree with everything that he does. Is everything that he said good? No, he needs to let some stuff go. He needs
Well,
to
he
let
has gotten better, I will
we
say.
get it.
Like,
We get it. Yes. But dude, you won. You won. Okay. You beat them all. Like he never should have won. Obviously, it's a God thing. He shouldn't be alive. It's a God thing.
right,
Shouldn't have won. It's a
right,
God thing. Greatest political comeback of all time. It's a God thing. It's
yeah.
not him. God's doing it, not him. And that's what he needs to realize. And as hard
Well, I
as it
think he
might
does.
be, because I'm not in his spot, the one thing that Trump really needs to work on is forgiveness because he needs to be unburdened by that. And I know he uses it as fuel to continue to drive him, but there's certain shit that he needs to let go. There's
Well, but he
certain things
has.
that he's been saying for a long time that I think he needs to,
Well,
you know,
I'll give you one example where it's very obvious that he has is Marco Rubio.
yes, I
You
would agree.
know, and I mean, even like when you look at like the 2015-16 debates, every one of those guys, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz,
Oh, he tore him apart. And
yeah, but they're all Trump doesn't like people that aren't loyal,
right,
and if they
right,
cross him, I don't know if it's a matter of he doesn't forgive them, but he doesn't trust them.
sure.
And so, because love is not to be earned, trust is. And
Mhm.
forgiveness is not to be earned, trust is. And also, he does have to have some guard up. I mean, he was the arrows in his back in 2016 through 2020 were insane. like,
Even more from 2020 to now, though.
well, I mean, I guess I
Right.
just meant as far as politicians go in
Oh yeah, sure,
Washington itself.
sure.
Yeah. But I do think that if you look at it, how he even interacts, like how he interacted with Obama the other day at Jimmy Carter's
Yeah.
funeral, I
Mhm.
really do believe that the assassination attempts on him changed him. I think he is a lot more humble than he used to be. Again,
He
go back
definitely
to the
is.
2015 debates and you'll see what I mean. He was just poop,
Yeah, it's
like
relentless.
ruthless.
I mean,
Um,
he is. He said one thing today. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no,
they were asking him. They're asking like, well, how does it feel to be back in? He's like, well, the first time I met a lot of people, met a lot of good people, met a lot of bad people. I also met scum like Adam Schiff.
well, right, and
It's like,
and
well,
pencil
he's
neck.
not wrong.
I mean, sometimes you do call a spade a spade. Adam Schiff is a very nasty
Yeah,
individual. He
yeah.
really is. Um, but I have noticed a big change in Trump. He's not as, you know, he still has his nicknames and stuff. I mean, none of us. The other thing is like a lot of these self-righteous like Christians and people on the right that don't like Trump they're so self-righteous. They
Hmm.
think that oh, Trump's this or that and his shortcomings this, his shortcomings that.
Well,
It's like, well, everyone has
did you?
shortcomings. Everyone has sin. Like they
It's
don't
like,
look at their own. They just want
did
to.
you see the shortcomings from the guy before him? I mean, jeez,
Well,
come on.
but they can't see
Like,
it in themselves. They
yeah,
don't see their
yeah,
own.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So Kenny says, I take no stance other than the best choice for me morally, and Biden was never that guy. I don't know how anyone's dumb enough to still say, oh, he's great. Says a lot about the setup for the Antichrist. Yes. And the one thing, Biden Biden's gone. But the one thing he did that was really slimy was that he pardoned all his family, pardoned Fauci, like as Trump's giving his. It was
Yeah.
probably right before Trump was giving his speech, and that man, that's slimy to me. I think
Well,
that's
none of
just
those people were convicted of a crime.
right. So what does that say? And Trump said it too. He's like, why would you pardon people who aren't even under investigation for a crime? What does that say?
Well,
Well, it
well,
says,
let me ask you this: like, would you take a pardon right now?
no, I didn't do anything.
Like,
No, it's stupid.
yes, they need that for what?
I guess I need a pardon for offending everybody the way I talk on this show. Maybe I need a pardon for that, but I don't care.
Well, you can't worry about that. But
Yeah. So
you know, but like I think like with Donald Trump specifically, like he's always been a polarizing guy, and the irony with like the really self-righteous right wingers like the Mitt Romneys of the world, or the Cheneys, the Bush families, all these people, the stuff they hold against Trump is like that they'll still say is like stuff that he maybe did, allegedly did, or did, or whatever, 10, 20, 30 years ago. And it's like, man, that, the entire idea of like being a Christian is to forgive and not hold people's sins against them. Because when we're with Christ, like he's not even holding our sin against us. So how do we get off, or where do we get off having the nerve to hold people's sins against them as people?
yeah.
To other people. A flawed, sinful person holding a flawed, sinful person's sin against them. Oh man, that is really rich in irony. Like,
Hypocritical.
yeah, and we all do it. We've all done it, but it's like
Yeah.
it's just they're so bitter towards him,
Well,
and
they don't have their guy. They don't have the person they want, and I think part of it too might be some jealousy because I
oh,
mean, you look
100%.
at yeah. There was another funny thing. I watched most of his press conference yesterday when he was signing all this stuff, and he was doing two things at once, which again is amazing for a president because we haven't seen that in a long time. Walk and chew gum. But they asked him, and it was really ironic who he said in this. They asked him, they're like, "Well, you've been in office once." And you've had a break and you come back. He's like, if you had to, and you name several presidents. He's like, if you had to call one and ask him for advice, who would it be? Who do you think he said, Dan?
Oh, I know who he said. Bill
He said
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah.
He didn't say Bush. Obviously, he's not going to say Biden.
No, I would hope not.
He didn't say Obama. He didn't say You know, out of the ones that are living, he said Clinton. Now, what does that tell you about the way Bush was and the way that Obama was? That if
Well,
Clinton's the best option in that, it's like,
that
ooh,
what,
yikes.
but that's what is weird about because Clinton was in there from what 92 to
92 to 2000.
2000. In the 90s, like you didn't have extremes like the extreme left or right or whatever. Like Clinton was very, by today's standards, he's like a pretty much straight down the middle, moderate. Take
Right.
away his scandals, um, like the guy was very like moderate,
Yeah.
and like I think there was subjects where he's like just to the left, but then other ones he's just to the right. Like
Yeah.
he's in that little realm of moderate, and it's like like economically, I think he was probably fiscally conservative, if I remember right. Maybe socialist, he was a little more to the left, but there were no extremes, and so that's probably.
Well,
I think honestly, maybe back then there was a little more common sense driven things too, because if you listen to like Clinton's like State of the Union and some of the speeches he gave, it's like wow, that's like a lot of it like kind of sounded like Trumpish. You know what I mean? It's
that,
not. There was no
that
extremes.
those are the type of Democrats that the Democrats want now. That's why people like RFK, Tulsi Gabbard
Right.
have left because they were for the more moderate, not
Correct.
psycho
Well,
Democrats.
that's what
These
Elon
people that
Musk.
are in there now are not even Democrats. They're freaking wokest leftist freaks that have gone so far off the deep end that like nobody wants anything they're pulling. Why do you think everybody's backing off all the woke stuff and they're kicking it to the curb? Like they're banning it in places. You're not going to see the same garbage that you see in June this year that you did last year because people are backing off it. And I think that there's going to be a lot people are companies are going to be a lot more careful about what they're doing now than what they did when Biden was in.
Well, I mean, because when you have, and I don't necessarily believe the things he says, but even people like Zuckerberg, they're like, oh, backing off of that, and he did implement policies that I saw with Facebook where he's backing off that stuff.
Yeah.
But even companies like Walmart, like, are backing off that. Like people have to understand, people on the right aren't against like things like being inclusive to all people. We're raised, a lot of us, to like, hey, you're playing in a game at school, include all the other kids. Yes, that type of inclusion or diversity. Yeah, I don't care if someone's black or Hispanic or white or male or female. You be friends with everybody. Yes, it's been twisted.
Right.
Now it's like elevate this person because they're homosexual, or give them this job because of that only, or give this person that job because they're this race only.
Right.
But that in itself, like if you think about it, is very ironic because when they're trying to be diverse and inclusive by giving, oh, we want the first, say, black female mayor or whatever, or well, that's not a job you're given. Let's say like, well, let's use the the fire. Some of
I
the
was
fire
just going to
marshals
say
out
use
in
the
LA.
fire. Yep. Yep.
Like if you give someone a job just because they're a female and they're a lesbian, that is against. That is a sexist thing to do. That is an anti-LGBT thing to do because
Right.
you're only doing that because that person claims those things, or is a female. That's not fair. Actually, that person. That's
And
actually
obviously they weren't
really.
qualified because look what happened.
Well, but think of that though. They're claiming to lift up those people. They're actually reducing them to a political or to identity politics. Like to think of that. Like you're only getting that job because you're a female, and that's what these people are telling you. That person should be upset. You see what I'm saying?
But
Like
but
that's
that's not
really
how the
mean. Like
insane. That's not how the
it.
insane think. They
Well,
just want their ego stroked and say, "Oh, you're perfect. I'm going to give you this." See, that's
well,
not how
imagine
they
if someone
think.
offered you a job just because you're a white guy. Hey, Chris, or Yukon, we're gonna give you a job just because you're white, and you'd probably be like, well, wait, so it's not my experience, my personality, my job performance, the degree, uh, my charisma. It's not because of any of those things.
Right.
Nope, it's because you're a white guy. Like
Right.
that's demeaning.
Yeah, it is.
See, but people
The
think that that's
definition of
actually
racism right there is that.
That is racism.
That's
Like, oh,
racism.
well, he's the first black one to do this. This first black guy to do this. It's like, you're only celebrating his ethnicity. You're not celebrating the
You're not
person.
spreading what he did.
Yeah,
Right.
like that is
Right.
demeaning, but it's been skewed and twisted where people are like, oh, well, you're racist because you don't want him there. No, I'm saying, what about the human qualities that this man has? Who cares if he's black or white? What's his personality? What's his qualifications? What's his work ethic? What's his upbringing? What's all his qualifications? Can we celebrate his creativity, his skills, what he's been through, his childhood? No. We just want to focus on his skin color. No. You see how that works? It's like everything's just twisted.
And it was blatantly obvious that that was a bad idea if you just look at some of the interviews that they did. One of them, they asked, so if my husband is in a burning fire on the second level of my house, you think you could pull him out? Well, I'd have to say, maybe your husband needs to rethink about putting himself in that position. Oh, I'm sorry. The next time I'm upstairs and my house catches on fire because of an electrical shortage, I'll rethink my position because you can't carry my ass out of the damn house. Give me a break. That's the kind of insanity that Newsom's got over there. That's the kind of insane. The stupid idiot wanted to save a stupid fish, so he drains out like all the reservoirs and stuff to save a fish. It's all a setup with that kind of stuff. That's
Well,
all a
it
setup.
is.
You know?
That guy is the slimiest narcissist ever because,
dude, I mean, if
in the
the
same
guy looks like the devil,
he's got that grin.
he's
But
got
in the
that
same
grin.
interview, he says all the reservoirs were full, and the guy interviewing him corrected him and said, "Well, this one was empty." He's like, and then Newsom immediately says, "Well, and that's exactly why I opened an investigation." Wait, what? What?
What?
Well, like Adam Carolla, I really like because he is just so common sense based. He said, he's like, here's the thing. You don't just do the DEI hires because you don't give this person a job because she's a woman or because she's a lesbian. He's like, if she's the most qualified,
Right.
and she happens to be a woman and happens to be a lesbian, I have no problem with that. And I agree with him. Like, because those two things shouldn't matter.
No.
When you're talking about a job. If this person can do the job and they're a male or they're a female and they meet the qualifications, they're black, they're white, they're whatever, all the identity stuff is irrelevant because they're qualified to do the job. That's what we're after.
Excuse me.
No one's mad because, oh, well, it's a lesbian that's in there. That's why we're mad. It's like, no, we're mad.
That's not it.
Because that's why you put her there. Because of that one thing.
Right. It's not because she's
because
qualified.
Number one, that doesn't mean you're the most qualified. Number two, you're
But
kind of her.
Let's call a spade a spade. That's why Biden was in. Biden was in because it wasn't that people liked Biden. It was that people hated Trump. It's the same thing with Kamala. Nobody voted for Kamala. At least I don't know anybody because they thought Kamala was going to do a good job. Anybody who thinks that needs. They don't like Trump.
Like her experience. I mean,
no experience, no plan. No policy. How can you run for president if you don't have a plan or a policy? And then you're going to sit there and bash the guy who does? What is that?
Well, when you're making decisions out of fear and or hatred, you're going to make the wrong decision.
Right. Which is basically what the last 4 years was.
Well,
no.
Again, I laid all that rap sheet of Biden's, and there's way more things that he did that I didn't think of, but it's just like,
yeah,
I'm amazed at how so many people just can't be humble enough to just rationally look at the facts and the stats and the bills and the things he said and did. It's just it's just venom and anger, and there's just no rational response to it for the most part. It's just like no one can just calm down and just have an open discussion and have an open mind. And it's like, well,
So like I said, the first thing is pride. The second thing is you're looking at one thing. You're looking at abortion. You're looking at immigration. You're looking at whatever it might be. And you're so fixated on that one thing that nothing else matters. Why do you think all those women march? They march because of one thing. It's not about anything else, which is the most selfish thing you can do, by the way. But that's what they're fixated on, is the one thing. And they think, because they lie to themselves, they lie to everybody else, that if this one guy gets in, and again, it's fear-mongering, like you just said with Biden, And like you just said with all the rest, if he gets in, he's going to take this one thing away.
Right.
When nobody said that, when nobody's done that, and that's not going to happen because it's not even up to him. It's up to the freaking states. So it's like
That well, because again, then you
it's the
have
irrational, the what's the word? The irrationality of people
right.
that are fixated. And again, that part, the fixated on one thing, also goes with the pride. They go together. They're joined like this because your pride says, I only care about me and what I got to do. Last time I checked, there's 350 other million people living in this country. It ain't all about you there, sweetheart.
Well, exactly, and if you look at it too, they they feed into it through the mainstream media. You know, they would sit there listening to people like Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow all day, every day, and those are the people that saying, "Oh, Trump's a Hitler," or "Trump hates women, and he's going to take away abortion. He's going to kill all the people that are claiming to be LGBTQ. They're going to put you in concentration camps," and they believe that stuff.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's like,
Oh,
again, like you said, fear mongering, because if you can get people afraid, you can get them to do whatever you want.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry, some more subliminal messaging. What the hell that was?
wow.
Damn, this
Funny that
thing
you announced it.
glitch. This channel is glitchy.
Yeah, darn it. But, you know,
Oh,
the,
wait,
the
wait,
other
wait.
thing,
I don't know what's going on, man.
you need to control your button. I think we got it.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
Yeah.
I fixed it. It's good now.
Yeah.
It's good.
You fixed it. Yeah.
I fixed it.
But, you know,
What's up, Rex? Good to see you, man.
but a lot of people don't want to have it. Again, it's also easier to be told what to think and that have that group think, and do what the media tells you will make you a good person,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to saying, no, I'm going to think for
or
myself. I'm going to do
look in the Bible and
legitimate
see what that
research.
tells you.
What's that?
Look in the Bible, see what that tells you.
Well, we
Yeah, I
won't
mean,
want to do that
I
because
don't
then we
do
get
that.
convicted and maybe we're
And
doing
that's
something
the
wrong
thing
in
that
life.
gets me. It's like you can rely on CNN and MSN tell you what you need to do to be a good person, but you can't open a book, the oldest book that's
Well,
got
because what
really the real
MSN,
answers.
well, because what
You
the
know,
mainstream
I,
media tells you
eh,
what to do to be a good person doesn't require any self-reflection and or self-change.
right.
It's just, oh, be as uh, do everything against Donald Trump that you can, and you're a good person, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's never, because being a good person from a biblical standpoint is getting rid of self and being as Christ-like as you can and making life about him and other people and not about yourself at all. That's
Right.
being a good person.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
the other side of that, not so much. It's, hey, look at me, how great I am. I'm doing checklist 1, 2, 3, 4, and look at how good I am, guys. And it's like, well, no, that's just not how it
That
works.
how it works? No. No.
Because what's enough? Again, what's going to fulfill? What's going to make you good enough? I don't have an answer to that.
And if you're trying to please people, I hate to tell you this, it's not
Not
going
going
to
to.
work.
You
It's
might
not
get
going to
people.
work. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't agree with you, and that's fine.
Mhm.
That's actually the beauty of people in general. Not everybody has to agree, but you know, some people will say, and I don't, by no means do I agree with this. Some people will say we come on here and we trash people. I don't think we do that. I think we tell the truth, which is much different. People can sit there and they can skew it and they can say, oh, Chris and Dan are blah blah blah, this, we're not accepting, we're not tolerant, we're hatred, we're YouTube's for everybody, that kind of shit.
Well,
And
but
it's like we're not doing that. What the point is, it's like we're just telling you the truth. We're telling you in our eyes what we see, how we see it, and if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. It's fine. Hey, you don't got to watch it.
but it's funny because people, ironically enough, think that their point of view and their opinions should never be questioned, and they get to say what they want. But if you or I do, there's an
Right.
issue.
Exactly.
It's a double standard, unfortunately, which we've all had. But the other irony is, it's funny because when people's minds are made up on whatever, especially about themselves and everything they do and think and say as being fine and being good, they're going to hear what they want to hear.
Right.
Because the main thing that I try to do, and I know you try to do, is we did it already, is if we're talking about something, we use ourselves as the example. Like we just said, yeah, the left can do this, but we just said, hey, the right's just as bad or worse.
Right.
And we're on the right. And it's like, we just did it.
We just did it.
And it's like,
Yeah.
but people conveniently can not hear that part or ignore that part. And as they say, the whole all you can eat buffet kind of mentality, where it's like, I don't want that part. I want that. I want
That
the jello.
part.
I want the mac
Hey,
and cheese.
let me edit it till it fits me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
It's
other
like,
thing I'll say is Dan and I both do research before each show. We watch a ton of stuff. We watch a lot of things. Are we 100% accurate on everything we say? Maybe not. But I think we're damn sure in the 90s on things we say. On, obviously there's a lot of opinionated, but you and I have spit out many facts in the last 14 episodes that are 100% true. Whether people like it or not, whether people agree with it or not, facts are facts. So you can take it or you can leave it with that. And if you don't like it, that's okay. It's totally fine.
well, and that's fine. Like, everyone's allowed to think the way they
Yeah.
want and operate
And
the
that's
way
the
they
way
want.
it
But
should be in politics too. That's the way it should be everywhere. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. Doesn't mean you got to agree with it. I mean, Rex is the man. Rex is a great guy. I know Rex personally. I'm sure Rex and I don't agree with every single thing. I'm pretty sure of that.
Name one person that you know or have met in your life where you agreed 100%. There's not one. You've done stuff that you don't agree with in your past, so you don't even haven't agreed with yourself the whole time.
Exactly. Oh, there's tons of things I could go back in time and slap myself in the head for.
Well, that's just it. And what people need to realize is you cannot demand respect and people to respect and accept all your opinions and views, but not offer that same
the other way around. Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem, and not to rag on a specific group of people, because I have definitely wanted everyone to respect my opinion when I have not offered it myself. I have screwed up a ton. But as an example, when people demand that I acknowledge their and respect their pronouns, well, no. Number one, because that's not true.
Right.
And number two, it's like I respect all human beings in the context of God loves them all equally, and God made all of us in his image. So God says to love your neighbor, and he says to love the people that even hate you. So I'm going to do that. But it doesn't mean I have to respect everything they say or do or all their views, just like they don't have to do that for me. So you cannot force someone to respect you. Respect
is earned.
Outside of the things I just listed, respect is earned just like trust is. And if you want to be respected, treat people as you want to be treated.
Right.
I always, because I know people that like the pronoun game and they identify as trans, but I get along with them and I do respect them as people, right? And I am friendly with them and they treat me with great dignity. But I've never played the pronoun game with them and I've never adhered to that. I call them by their name and I try to love them as Christ tells me to. And they reciprocate it. You don't have to compromise on these things in order to gain that respect and to give the respect. You just treat people as you want to be treated. And you don't be mean and nasty to them. You don't act like you're better than them. You be humble to them and they pick up on it, whether they're aware of it or not, and they reciprocate. So there's no need to go around. Do we go around demanding that people be Christians and you must read the Bible or otherwise you're a horrible person? People will say we do because they're twisting and hearing what they want, but we don't do that.
Nope.
And we
that's
don't
demand. That's a choice, man. If you want to, hey, well, we know our job, and we've done it many times on this show. We give you information,
and you can
take it or leave it. Yep.
It's like we have quoted so much scripture, and we have repeatedly said our own faults and flaws and sins. I mean, it's like it's just funny.
Right. Well, that's the funny thing. It's like, yeah, that's exactly right. When you and that's the important part, because that right there, by saying that, and we mean it. We don't just say it because we're trying to look cool or something. We mean it because we do we have been in these situations. We have, gone through these things. And we're not going to say anything or do anything that we haven't gone through ourselves. That's why we always say, we've been through this, we've gone through this.
Yeah.
And we have the easiest example to give is a personal example, something you've gone through, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't do me any good to sit there and talk about, what Rex has gone through. I don't know what the hell Rex has gone through. I know he does
Oh,
a
sure.
great job at his stuff, but I don't know what he's gone through in his life. Why would I sit there and say anything about that? It makes no sense. So, using
Well,
yourself as an example should show a humbleness to people right there. I think it would. Maybe it doesn't, but
right.
that's
Well,
that's
exactly.
the
Because,
person who's taking its fault, not ours. So,
yeah, well, exactly. Because everyone has had hardship in their life, and we shouldn't be arrogant enough to say, oh, that doesn't matter, you need to be this way. I mean, that's irrational and insane. Like, every human being's different, and there's different trials in life, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna, we don't hold people's past against them. In other words, like, um, you know, it's just funny how a lot of people just want to be like demand something of everyone they meet right off the bat. Like, everything is about them.
yeah,
It's like, well, that's not what we're doing. We're not demanding anything. It's like,
no,
man, no, wait.
not at all.
One of the greatest lies and deceptions within our society today is that in order to love somebody, you need to just agree with everything they say and do everything they ask of you.
Wrong.
And that is completely wrong.
Totally wrong.
Love does not exist without truth. Love does not exist without justice. They're all collective. And so if you're just enabling somebody on some destructive behavior, especially a behavior that you've done that
Yeah.
really hindered or hurt you, and you see them doing the same thing, and you lived it, and you see them doing it, and you just, no, you're fine because I love you. Well, you don't love that person
You hate
because
them.
you're just pushing them towards the
Yeah, you hate
the
them. You're
hypothetical
not.
cliff.
That's not.
Yeah,
That's not at all
you're contributing to pushing them off a cliff.
right.
If you really love that person,
Exactly.
say, hey man, no, don't do that because I've been there. This is what can happen to that. You're
Yep.
going to get hurt out of this. Whether they get upset or not, it's irrelevant.
No,
You love in truth. You tell the truth,
exactly.
and you do it in the most gentle manner as you can. But no matter how precautionary you are, or how biblical you are, or how kind and compassionate you come off, or how gentle you speak, there's always going to be someone
Mhm.
waiting to twist it no matter what.
Yep. Yep.
And it is what it is. But that's another thing that's designed to try to shut us up.
Absolutely.
But we know the tricks of the trade. So
Yep.
it's like, you're not going to shut people up.
One more subliminal message. That might have been the best one. Look at that. All right, I'll stop tooting my own horn.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So, since there's 6 people watching, I will tell you guys this again. So, thank you for everybody showed up. Skydraw Walker, I'm sorry I did not acknowledge you. Roman Reigns acknowledges you.
Oh,
I
thank
acknowledge
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, man. So for everybody watching, I said this at the beginning of the show. I'll say it again. This is the last time you'll see this show on this channel. Doesn't mean the show's ending. Show's not ending. Show's getting its own channel. So Yakin About Nothing is going to turn into the Yakin About Nothing podcast, its own channel. I've created a new channel for it, and this show's going to move over to there. Reasoning is from what I just showed you. My channel is going through a complete overhaul, a complete rebranding, a completely new attitude, and a completely anti do the same thing as everybody else kind of stuff. So I want it to be its own entity on both fronts. I want it to be its own entity for Economist Prime. I want it to be its own entity for the Yakin About Nothing podcast. So over social media, I will put the link for the new channel on. Dan, you'll have to give that to mom and dad. You take it and that sort of thing. But Economist Prime going to be totally different. I'm going to start putting up videos here soon. I don't know exactly when, probably in the next couple weeks, but um, we're going through a change. And again, like I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, I blame all of you for this because I had a lot of people tell me not to quit. I had a lot of people say don't do it. So
I like the word blame.
it's your fault. But I appreciate all the support. Really, I do. I got messages from a lot of people. I had comments on the video, the stupid video that I put on, the over dramatic video, which I apologize for.
It's funny because I actually was like, I never actually watched that. I refuse. It's like I
Don't.
don't give it.
I'm gonna
I don't
take you
give a.
down.
I don't give a Joe Biden poopy diaper what he has to say. If he's going to think about quitting, I'm just going to tell him not to do it. So.
Yeah, but honestly, you guys have a lot of people have reached out and told me don't quit. You should really think about this. So I did, and I spent some time thinking about something new, something unique, something different, and I think I've got something. So um, I hope so. I'm going to play you one more real quick that I played at the beginning just because I want to show you how committed to this I really am. So that's basically saying no more Cowboy Yukon Phil, no more Yukon Phil, done, gone, over, totally new, total overhaul.
So, you know what? Okay, so we'll be on a new channel. I think next week I'll be Cowboy Danno, and I'll get the hat and the COVID mask, and oh, yeah, this channel's getting banned. I said the COVID word. The clock chat coming soon. May also go out with a bang, right?
Yeah,
Couching for prison.
Yeah, don't do that.
I heard
Dad says the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs. God, I hope so.
Oh boy!
I think everybody hopes so.
He did that on purpose.
Yes,
we can hope as long as the refs don't. The 12,
well,
as they say.
There's a thing I saw on Instagram where they already called Josh Allen or they already called the Bills for roughing the passer, like yesterday. So
yeah, the Bills already got 15 yards.
Right. Kenny, the saloon thing. So I was just playing with stuff. I was seeing what got interest. I was thinking about going back to the Cowboy Yukon Phil thing, but I decided against
it. Well, but to Kenny's point though, because I think he's right, because I had told you that in the text. I was like, I like the Yukonos thing, but that minus that fruity walk you did, I don't know what that was. It was really dainty. Actually,
it was just a test shot, dude. Jeez,
it was just weird. But I don't know what that was. But Dan's anti-gay people. He said fruity. It's a joke. It's a joke. Besides, the word gay actually means happy. Okay.
Yeah.
But the look of it and the whole saloon idea, I thought was really cool.
So it just. It's too hard. That voice kills my throat, man. I'll be honest.
Well, I'm not saying you had to do that though. Like I was saying, the look and the aesthetic of the saloon and
yeah,
that old west and like the sepia look and all that. I thought that.
When I bitch out on this idea, maybe I'll go to that idea.
All right. Well, 2 weeks. We'll see it. Good to know.
I got a lot of ideas. It's fine. It's totally fine.
You know what? Maybe with that look, if I sculpt any characters that would fit into that, maybe I'll have you make me videos that.
The saloon thing, or
I for my shop, if I make a character that could fit in, maybe I'll, because I still want to kind of recreate like a zombie cowboy thing. Maybe I'll
we could have yourself do it, so you dress up as the thing, right? And then you send me.
Well, no, I would make the prop and then.
Okay, well, you got to have the prop move. I don't know, like I can't do AI animation or anything like that. So that.
I'm not talking about that. It would just be to advertise the prop.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
I'm not in my videos, other than my live videos on my.
Well, yeah, and honestly, that's kind of the reasoning for a lot of it too. Like I'm gonna be in the video, but you guys will see that I'm not. I am, but I am not in the videos from now.
I know why you're doing that now, because that way you don't have to put on your face, as they say. You don't get to get all dolled up. Right. So, okay.
If this is dolled up, I hate to see what undolled up is.
Well, why don't we all? Yeah, his makeup trailer and all
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. He's so hard to work with.
that. Yeah, he's a drama queen.
Yeah.
Demanding his coffee be at
Yeah, right.
specific
Yeah.
temperature, the trailer itself, the temperature.
I'm just gonna be happy if people watch this new thing. So we'll see what happens. If they do, they do. They don't, they don't. So we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't worry about it.
No. So
When I do my live videos when I'm sculpting on my own Facebook channel, like occasionally you'll say, hey, it won't show everyone, but it'll say, oh, this person's watching, or maybe someone likes the video and it might show it, or the comments come in. But at any given time, if I'm sculpting live, it maybe looks like 8 or 10 people, but then I get done with the live and I go back to the video and it's like 75 views. I'm like,
that's what happens with
my
this
point
show.
Is
Yeah, you don't worry about it.
Like,
That's what happens with this show. Like I'll see that like, 6 people are watching, four are watching now or whatever. And then, like over a few days, it gets like 50s and the 60s and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for us for tonight. Don't forget the new channel will be up. We'll be on that channel next week with an all new topic or maybe a recycled topic. I don't know.
you never know.
You never know. Just remember, don't get offended. Because if you do,
Make comedy great again. Make jokes great again.
make taking a chill pill.
Yes. Well, remember,
Grass down great again.
remember, one of the greatest forms of narcissism is to say, specifically to a comedian or a comedy movie or TV show, it's okay to make fun of everyone except for people like me or me.
Right.
That is one of the biggest forms of narcissism you can achieve.
We make fun of everybody altogether. No one's exempt.
Mostly, we make fun of ourselves.
Mostly ourselves. Exactly.
Yeah, 98.9% of it.
Exactly.
And that's great.
It's great. It's great. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.